The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Welcome back, everyone. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I love it when you spend your Tuesday evenings with me. I'm your host, Sarantos, a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are very important to me, and that's why I'm so thrilled to host this show for you every Tuesday night. I strongly believe that every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is broadcast live on #1 ranked W4CY Radio and has listeners in all 206 countries in the world and every state in America. The station is licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Sound Exchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio and exposure to over 300 million listeners. Tonight's first guest is Teddy Hayes. Teddy is a composer and lyricist for theater shows. He has 5 original theater shows, and he's created music and lyric for all these shows, and he's written and produced many of the songs. Teddy, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine. Great, Sarantos.
I heard that you have a little time difference, huh? You're from across the pond?
Yeah, I'm in London, yeah.
All right. So this is our second week in a row having someone from London. So is it you a morning person or a night person? Is this torture for you, being up this late?
No, it's fine. I'm up all times of the night writing sometimes, so no problem.
Awesome. All right. Tell us a little bit about how did you start playing?
How did I start playing or writing?
Playing, writing, anything. Well, when did you start? Why did you start?
I started writing. Well, I've always been into music. I was a singer since I was a kid, about 5 or 6 years old. And so I understood songs, and I was always around all different kind of music in our house: gospel, country, jazz. I'm from Ohio, so we were sitting right there in Cleveland, Ohio, so we were influenced by Kentucky music, from bluegrass all the way to gospel, deep south, jazz, Chicago, New York. So I was very much into all different kinds of music. And I guess I started formally training when I was about 14, 15, taking voice lessons. And I started writing songs when I was about 15, 16 with a friend of mine. And then I guess I just started going to theater when I was about 19, 20. And it just kind of developed and developed. So by 1976, I had finished university and was working for a company who asked me to write a film for them. So I wrote a film, and my first real professional debut was a song that I'd written for the film, and that went okay. And then my second thing that happened was I was working in New York, and a guy came to me, and he heard one of the songs I had written called Nowheresville, and he was doing a children's album, and he wanted this song because it was an anti-drug song, or anti-drug album. And the song was called Nowheresville, about a kid who gets hooked on drugs. And he wanted the song for the album. And he told me that he was going to get different famous people on this album. And he asked me to go with him down to Tennessee to meet Johnny Cash, which I did. And we went to Johnny Cash's place and talked to Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash didn't agree to do the song, but he did agree to support the song. So the guy came back to New York. We went into the studio, recorded the song, and he put it on the album called The Drug King's Last Stand. And this song, the album was nominated for a Grammy the next year. So,
wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So You mentioned Ohio and Cleveland. So are you hurting as a Browns fan right now?
No, I never watch. I'm not a sports person, so I have no idea what people are doing.
All right. I just had to ask, man. I was like, they were expected to do well this year, and they're not doing as well as people thought.
No, I don't think they do very well any year. I just don't. I just don't follow American sports at all because I've been living here in London for about 23 years. So.
Oh wow. Okay. So you've converted. You're over there.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit about which famous musicians influenced you.
Oh well. Lots of musicians, Carlos Antonio Jobim, and Vinicius de Moraes, the writers of The Girl from Ipanema, Smokey Robinson, Curtis Mayfield, Willie Nelson, Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Cole Porter, George and Ira Gershwin, Lennon McCartney. I listen to all kinds of music, and all these people influence me because I love their songs, and all through the years I listened to these people.
Wow, wonderful. How do you start when you're creating music or writing music? Where do you start?
Well, usually the melody is a strong part of it. I usually hear something in my head, and then I sit down to the piano and work it out. And just step by step. And the way I work is usually some part of the lyric comes to me with the melody. And after I sit down at the piano and work that out, I'll write out what the chord structure is and some of the harmonies and so forth. And I'll take that, I'll make a copy of that on an audio copy. And then that's it, basically. And to flush it out, I take it to my arranger, and we'll sit down and he'll add some things, dress some chords, maybe change this or that, and then we'll record it and we'll have our demo.
Yeah. Is piano your main instrument? Is that how you write, or do you use something else? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I use piano, yeah.
Okay. How do you, it sounds like you have some help with your arranger, but how do you decide if a song that you've written or a musical piece you've written is going to make the cut? If it's something you're going to produce, release to the world, or if it's not that good, I'm just going to put it in my bin.
I'll know. I just know. I mean, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I won't even take it to the arranging level. I mean, because sometimes you know if it works or it doesn't. If it's feeling right, then it goes to the next step. If it doesn't get to that next step. So.
And you feel like you know that yourself. You don't have to ask anyone.
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't have to ask anybody that. I know when it's working or when it's not. And that's just an innate sense that I've developed over many years of working. You know, if something's not working, say, this isn't working, I won't go further. Yeah, I mean, I have songs I've been working on since the 80s, and I haven't been able to get them right. So they're just sitting in the drawer, you know.
Do you ever give up on a song, or do you keep it? How do you know when to give up on it?
When it just doesn't flow. I don't try to force a song. Either it flows or it doesn't, because I think songs are an emotional thing. So if it doesn't hit you emotionally enough to flow, then this song isn't right. I never force a song.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. How do you? Oh, looks like we popped through a question here. Our first question for you: how many songs didn't make it to the next step? So can you give us a percentage? Is it 10%, 90%?
No idea, because I don't keep score like that. I mean, I'll sit down, I'll write a song, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it just doesn't. I don't really keep score. I know if I have to do 12 songs for a show, I might write 20, and 12 might make it. I might write 15. 12 might make it. I don't know. I'll just write them until they seem to work.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how often you write. Do you try to write every day? Do you try to write just whenever it hits you? Do you have a process?
Well, yes, I do, except that I am disciplined, but on the surface, it probably wouldn't look like it. I'm writing all the time. I'm writing notes. I'm writing ideas. Because of digital technology, it's very easy to write because I'll hear a melody in my head. I'll get my phone out, I'll record the melody. So I'm writing all the time, but I really don't sit down at the piano and start writing a show until I have a show that I'm working on. So since primarily these days I'm writing theater music, if I'm writing a show, I'll look at the script and then I'll say, okay, this is the song that needs to be here. And then I'll sit down and write it. You know?
Yeah. Okay. When you look at your personal development, you've been in London 23 years, you've been doing this for a long time. Is there like one piece of advice you could give some of the listeners as fans and then some of the listeners who are musicians? Any advice you'd give each of them?
I think as fans, what can you tell a fan? Either they like it or not. Yeah, there's nothing you can tell a fan. Either they like your music or they don't like your music. I mean, you're just that simple. For a fan, I can't say anything except to be open to all kinds of music because people who create oftentimes don't create by any rules, so you just have to be open. As a writer, I think I'd have to say that be aware of emotional content, because I think people they connect with songs emotionally. And if you don't feel it, you're not going to. If you don't feel it, then it's going to be hard for the person that you're writing it for to feel it. So sometimes being simple is the best. Sometimes being complex is the best. Just depends on what you want to say. Because I work in the theater a lot, I'm often working through characters. So I'm trying to convey something, usually emotionally, that the character from that play wants to say. So I have to think about the nature of the character, where the character is really coming from emotionally and intellectually when I write the song. If it's a clever character, then I have to write a song that's a bit more clever. If it's a very slow character, maybe have to write a different kind of song. Yeah, absolutely.
Janella asked the question if you're from London, so I'll answer that for you because you've already said that. Yes, he's from London.
No, I'm from Ohio.
Oh, I'm sorry Ohio. that you're in London right now, not that
yes.
you're. Yeah,
but I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes. I was going to ask you that. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between writing for a top radio hit, writing for Broadway, writing for theater. A little bit about what you talked about. What do you think is more challenging?
I don't know. I've written for people. I mean, I was a music producer for many, many years in New York. So I'd have clients that says, okay, I want a song. And I never tried to write for that person. I just tried to write the best song I could write for that person. For instance, there was a kid who became very well known as the cousin to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. A kid named Alfonso Ribeiro. He was in a Broadway show called The Tap Dance Kid. In about 83, 84, they came to me and they said, look, this kid is in a Broadway show. He's leaving the Broadway show and he wants a singing career. We want you to write something for him. And I did. It was a song called Dance Baby. It did okay. But I had to write something that fitted his, one, vocal abilities, two, the image that he was trying to project. So we were able to get that reasonably right. And so it was just, you can't write a song that somebody really can't do physically. They may not have the chops for it, the voice for it. So there's no need of you doing a song that they can't pull off. So when you're writing pop songs, I think you have to be aware sometimes, if you're writing for someone, what their physical abilities and what their talents are.
Yeah.
But if you're just writing a song, that's a bit different, because you might just write a song from your own soul, and that's probably the best way to do it, because then if it's a great song, it can be interpreted a lot of different ways by a lot of different artists.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Before I forget to ask, because we got about 5 minutes left here, tell us a little bit about where can people find information about you, your website, any contact information you want to give out where they can reach out to you.
Oh, simple. I have a production company called Teddy Hayes Productions, and just go to the internet to see teddyhayesproductions.com.
Wonderful.
And you can get to me through my website.
Wonderful. All right, Teddy. Now, tell us a little bit about this song that we're going to hear in about 4 minutes here. What do you want us to know about it? What inspired it?
This is a song from a production called The Baskerville Beast, based on the Sherlock Holmes story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. And this song is a conversation taking place between two characters. The guy comes in and starts to tell Sherlock Holmes about the legend of the Baskervilles. So I could have put it in dialogue, but I said, this is a good place to put a song. And the way I'll work the song is the guy is telling the history of the Baskervilles. So the audience gets the history of the Baskervilles as the guy explains it to Sherlock Holmes. And the name of the song is called Do You Know the Baskervilles? So he just kind of tells the whole history of the Baskerville legacy. And when he finishes it, the audience knows what the Baskervilles are about, and so does Sherlock Holmes.
Okay. Being that you're from a little different arena, the theater world, I'd like to ask every guest about scams. Any scams you want to warn us about? Maybe some that are unique to your little sector. We try to protect each other. And anything you want to warn us about?
Well, not really, except that just people should copyright their work. And that's probably the way to protect yourself. Just copyright it. And it takes a few dollars to do it, but it's worth it. Just, U.S. copyright. Now you don't even have to have notated music like you used to have. You can do a tape or MP3. So copyright your music and make sure that you got it copywritten. And sometimes you have to copyright it separate from a script if you're doing a theater show. But please copyright your music so nobody can say that that's not your music.
Okay, Teddy, we got a question from Robert here. Mm-hmm. What if you feel it, but your taste is different? Should you try to put it out there to see where it goes? Absolutely.
Because music is just music. And you may not think it's something, but a million other people might. For instance, when I did the song that got on the Drug King's Last Stand, I remember in the studio, the guy told me, says, do it like a country artist. Well, I did it. I did it in a very high voice, like a Hank Williams voice. Mm-hmm. And I flattened out my vowels so I'd sound a bit more country. And a lot of people wouldn't have recognized that it was me, but a lot of people accepted it. So that was that. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think I've been doing this 6 years. I've been doing it as long as you, and I keep trying to get better, and I keep reading everything, taking lessons, doing all sorts of stuff, experimenting. And sometimes I think something will really hit home and it doesn't. And then other times I think something isn't quite what I like, but it really resonates. And even if 100 people hear your song and it's not a well-rated song, a bunch of them are going to think it's a piece of art. So, you just got to put out what feels right. And I think personally, you should always try to get better with your craft. And just release it onto the world and work on the next thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best advice I ever got was from Quincy Jones, who told me, he said, don't try to get over, just try to get better.
Yeah, that's true. Quincy's had a few hits, right?
Yeah, just a few.
You know what? I love Quincy Jones. I've seen, I think, every documentary that I can find on him. And fascinating. Just a fascinating guy.
Great talent. And Quincy's a very, very nice man. he really put his arms around me and supported me very, very early in my career. So that was a great blessing, really.
Yeah. Wow. That really is. I'm glad. All right, Teddy, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Hope to have you on the show again soon, and we're going to hear your song right now, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a wonderful night. Go get some sleep, man.
Okay.
All right, brother, take it easy.
Bye-bye.
All right, here we go. This is Teddy's song.
Do you know the Baskervilles, the curse, the family, the story? Oh, do you know the Baskervilles, the Baskervilles? Baskerville was a villain who did not care if blood was spilling, as long as he got what he wanted. He did not give a damn. One night he got it in his head to bring a maiden to his bed. Although the lady, she did not consent, he did not care. His plan was clever and adept, for he kidnapped her while she slept and brought her back across the moor and locked her in a room. Inside the house she screamed and cried, while Hugo, he became drunk with pride. The woman was his prisoner, he was his and his alone. You know the Baskervilles, the curse, the family, the story. Oh, do you know the Baskervilles, the Baskervilles? You know the Baskervilles, the curse, the family, the story. Oh, do you know the Baskervilles, the Baskervilles? One stormy night, a twist of fate sent lightning crashing through the gate. It broke the door and set the lady free unto the moor. Hugo saw she had escaped, he cursed and screamed and shook with rage. Upon his horse he did give chase across the dreaded moor. She ran until her heart gave out, and as she died he heard her shout, the hounds of hell will curse your family name and drink their blood. Hugo Baskerville was found, his body lay upon the ground. His throat had all been torn away by a vicious hound from hell. Do you know the Baskervilles, the curse, the family, the story? Oh, do you know the Baskervilles, the Baskervilles? The Baskervilles, the curse, the family, the story. Oh, do you know the Baskervilles, the Baskervilles?
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Well, that was absolutely wonderful. Very, very classical work there, Teddy. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our second guest. Our second guest is the band Releaser. They're a startup 4-piece band, and they're coming off their inaugural year and debut record. They met and assembled with a common objective to deliver you the highest quality songwriting and live performances that their decade of collective grind and no heart could muster. Their music is astute and effective, lyrical content honest, something too many artists have abandoned in favor of sounding important. The vocals and melodies are the reason you should check out this new music. These guys will have you singing and bopping your head at work like a pro. So welcome to the Songwriter Show, Stephen. How you doing?
Good, Sorrentos. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being on the show, man.
Sure. We have the whole band here, actually.
Hello. Oh, do you? Oh, awesome. All right. Why don't you guys each tell us, say hi to the listeners and tell us who you are.
My name is Stephen. I sing and play guitar for Releaser.
Jeremy, bass player.
Andre, guitar.
And Dwayne, the drummer.
Awesome. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about your backstory. How did the four of you guys, were you guys in school together? How'd you guys hook up? How'd you guys become a band?
We're all pretty much like Chicago local artist vets, and we've all been in other bands together. And Steven had some songs that he was trying to complete. He reached out to me from a previous band, and Dwayne and I have been playing together for 10 years and went to school together. And Steven actually went to school with Jeremy too, but I think this is their first time playing together is in Releaser. And we ran into Jeremy out at a show one day, and he was like, I'm in.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Any inspiration, any role models do you guys that you share? I'm sure everyone has different tastes, but anyone come to mind, band or person that you guys all kind of admire?
I mean, I think the reason why Releaser is kind of special is because we all take our different influences and role models. I know Jeremy
from different places.
Yeah.
It's funny, that question. I don't know that there's a single band that all four of us love.
You're being honest, man. That's fine.
There's a million bands that the four of us love, separately. But if I were to try and think of like one band, it would probably boil down to like Def Leppard or something.
Oh, dude, I love Def Leppard,
like
man. Def Leppard is one of my favorite all-time bands.
Yeah, that kind of connects us all. But
yeah, I think I've been to like 6 or 7 concerts, and they still sound awesome. What was that?
Good.
I've been to 4. Jeremy, I've been to 4. Andre and I, the first concert we ever went to together was last year.
Last summer. Like I met Jeremy through this band, and he was like, "Let's hang out." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What are we doing?" He's like, "We're gonna go see Def Leppard at Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the Cubs played." I'm like, "Okay." And I didn't realize how rock and roll that is. It was a very epic show.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your process. How do you guys get started? Melody, lyrics, music? Is it a collaborative effort? Is it one guy? How do you guys work that out?
Well, Steven, I always usually write the shell of the song first, and then I bring it to the band. I tell them here, let me rewind. Yes, I start strumming on the guitar and I come up with the melody, because I think the melody is, the first time you hear a song on the radio, you're not understanding all the words. You're hearing the melody and the music. So I write that first. And then I put words inside my melody. It's always how it happens. I don't ever write anything and then force it into a melody. But that's another great way to come up with melodies that I never would come up with. Then I bring my song to rehearsal. And then the great thing about it is, since we have so many different eclectic tastes, that my song gets torn apart and it's the same song, but it sounds way different than I intended it to be. And then it becomes something really special after about 7 or 8 fights.
Yeah, I hear you.
But,
how do you guys figure out which of the many songs you're writing are going to make it to the CD, or which ones you're going to give up on?
That's an interesting question. I've always been like I write a song and I don't move on. Like, I write a verse, and if I don't like the verse, then I'm gonna start writing another verse. Like, I don't write like a subpar song in my eyes. To me, like, I wait. I write an awesome verse, and then I wait until I write an amazing chorus for that verse, and then I wait until I write an amazing bridge for that verse. So I could write 10 songs and be like, this is going to be the record. I'm not write 60 songs for 10. I write 10 songs for a record. Jeremy has some.
Usually, Jeremy here, if one of Steve's songs even makes it to rehearsal, it's already been decided and crafted by him behind closed doors that it's something that he wants to bring to life. And I'm certain, somewhere in the universe there's a pile of Steve Mueller ideas that didn't make it that far. But usually when it comes into this room with us, it's something that he believes in. And we don't, that's the same, like, as a band, when we start putting everything else into the production and arrangement of our songs, by that time it's already been decided this is a good enough song for us to see through to the end. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a fan question for you, and I think you're going to like it. Missy is asking, will you be going on tour? And if so, will you be playing in Louisiana? Sounds like she wants to check you guys out.
Hi, Missy. This is Andre. We are planning on going on tour in 2020. Gearing for March at the moment, and we will probably be hitting Louisiana. Where is she located in Louisiana?
Don't know, but you know what? I was going to ask you this later. Why don't you guys give us your website and your info, and maybe she can check out your social media and tweet at you guys or something.
Absolutely. Our website is www.releaserofficial.com, and we will be posting tour dates very shortly here.
And we are going down that way. We're planning on going down to South by Southwest and back up. So Louisiana is not too far off that beaten path at all. So
wonderful. And yeah, I'm sure, to any fans out there, people who want to attend their shows, interact with them, because like any artist, if you get a bunch of interest in a certain city, they'll make it a tour stop. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's ask you guys some annoying questions here. What's the most hilarious thing that's happened to you guys in the last year? And you can make it R-rated, but it can't be like,
Yeah, no swears.
Completely, yeah.
I gotcha.
The most hilarious thing. It has to be something with Dwayne.
Come on, guys.
Oh, here it is. This is probably the most hilarious thing. We just buy a brand new lock for our trailer.
Oh, yes.
We go out to the gig. We get all loaded up. Okay, we get all the way to the gig. I give Dwayne the trailer key. I'm like, this is yours. Guard it with your life. There's only 2 of them. He's like, yeah, I got it. Everything's good. Don't worry about it. He leaves the gig to go get ready beforehand. And when we come back, he comes back to start loading in. Can't find the key anywhere. He thinks he left it where he went to go get ready. Turns out, long story short, the key was stuck to the bottom of a Red Bull can in the front seat.
I went through the entire vehicle like you would not have it. And I was freaking out. And then I got frustrated and I grabbed my Red Bull can and then I picked it up and all of a sudden the thing just popped down into the coffee tray. And I was like,
That's funny.
I've been looking around for it for about 25 minutes.
And the venue's like, come on, we need you guys to load in. We're just,
We at the moment. We can't find our trailer key. It was perfectly lodged in the bottom of the can. I don't know how that happens. That's insane.
That's a good story. I forgot about that.
So why don't you guys go around the 4 of you guys? I'm very curious to hear what you each think is your hidden superpower that you want to confess to the world right now.
Okay. Who wants to start?
Well, I can answer for Jeremy. I'm pretty sure he's like a real life Popeye meets Superman. He's a tough guy. He's like the Hulk for sure.
He's wearing a big beard right now and a Popeye hat, and he's got a white shirt. It's kind of cream colored.
And arms to match.
Yeah. Or you think so at least. But yeah, we'll give it to him.
Superpower.
All right. Anyone else, or is it just him? You guys just throwing him under the bus?
Dwayne has the ability to make trailer keys disappear.
There you go. That would be mine for sure.
Yeah. All right. And just to get back at you guys, Missy responded, St. Rose, Louisiana, between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. So I believe the 2 biggest cities in that. Yeah. Tell us a little bit. I'm sure people want to know. What were you guys like in high school?
Oh, wow.
I can speak
I
for...
wish I could remember.
So before I answer this, Dwayne and Andre went to high school together. Me and Jeremy went to high school together, and we're 10 years older than them. So it's kind of a weird dynamic in the band.
And Steven and Jeremy were 1 year apart in high school, as were Dwayne and myself, just a generation younger.
I wouldn't say I'm super reserved, but I was a class clown. I always tried to make people laugh. I wore big baggy pants. I was a skateboarder. I was a punk kid. And I was constantly talking back to teachers just to make people laugh like in class. I was a good student. I never ditched a class, believe it or not.
This is Jeremy. I was the polar opposite of that. Me and Steve didn't hang out really together in high school, but we did have one class that we remembered each other from and had some good times in there. That was graphic arts, and that was probably the only class I ever really went to. I spent a lot of my time not going to school, and that's about the best I could say for my years in high school.
And I would say, this is Dwayne here. I didn't really stick out too much, but I always seemed to have a lot of friends. Kind of was super into, just working out, spending time with friends, partying on the weekend. I was also classically trained in percussion, so I spent a lot of my time in chamber orchestra and things like that. So I was very musically driven back then. And I think I spend most of my time just trying to wait to get out of the next class just so I can go, just study in the band and orchestra room.
Yeah, go jam. Okay.
Yeah, and Dwayne's house is always the party house for sure. We leave high school and like his parents were always so cool. Be like, come over and play music, and like they hosted shows at their house. It was hilarious. It's awesome.
Wow. All right, let's see if we agree on this. You guys are from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. What do you think is the best Chicago pizza?
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Okay. I've had this discussion many times.
I'm going. Tortorisi's is mine.
I'm a big fan of Tortorisi's too.
Illuminati's buttercrust. Period.
Thick crust Illuminati's fine. Thin crust, get out of here.
I'm going to mirror Andres here. Tortorisi's is great.
It depends on what mood I'm in. I mean, I'm really passionate about pizza. Like, if you just want some, I like Beggars. It's just like, your greasy, like real. They lay down thick. It's like extra cheese. But I like Salerno's. I like Tortorisi's.
Salerno's is dope too.
Illuminati's deep dish with buttercrust is the best. Period.
Yeah. I have to agree with Luz, but I thought I knew every pizza. What's this torta? I don't think I've ever been to that one. Where's that at?
It's spelled Tortorices. Tortorisi's. It's on Grand Avenue between Damon and Ashland.
And there's one up north somewhere.
Try that.
Yeah, Tortorices.
I'm gonna have to try that one. Yeah. All right. Cool. A couple more questions for the fans. So Anna's asking, where can we see pictures of you? So you guys want to mention your website again? I'm sure there's some pictures on there.
Yeah. Releaserofficial.com. We've got all our music. We've got merch. We've got tons of pictures.
I think there's probably more pictures too. I'm not sure if they're all on there. I would say Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram. Our handle on Instagram is ReleaserOfficial.
But you can get to all of our socials from the website.
That is true. That's very true.
We have us covering, minute clips of covering random tunes on Instagram.
YouTube channel, all that.
Yeah, our YouTube channel as well. So.
I would say that's a very candid piece to us too, is that we're able to, do these fun things like little covers, just songs that inspired us at one time or another. Just it could be one person or it could be all of us, and it's just kind of in a candid background, usually at either in the studio or at Andre and I's house. Dwayne and Andre and I live together, so it's just kind of cool, just us hanging out and having fun, playing a little music.
We try to keep some fun content rolling through our channels, pretty regularly.
Yeah, cool. Bryce is asking basically about your age. So you kind of mentioned that you guys are a decade apart. You want to give a ballpark? You don't have to give your exact ages.
No, I'm completely honest.
Wayne and Andre are 10, and me and Steve are 20.
This is Steven. I'm the singer. I'm 39 years old.
Cool.
I'm the youngest. Dwayne here. I'm 30.
Yeah. So.
And then Jay and I are just in between there somewhere, lost.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the songwriting here in 2 minutes here. What do you guys want us to know about it? What inspired it?
Yeah. So we have a collection of songs out, 5 songs. The EP is called Retox. So if you clue in on that word, it's pretty much an open book about my drug addiction. And I like to usually keep songs very loosely interpreted so listeners can interpret it themselves. And I have kind of done that. I haven't really pigeonholed the songs. But now that you know that and you listen to the record all the way through, you'll kind of get a bigger idea of what's going on the record.
Okay. I like that name, man. That's a cool name, Retox. That's a cool title.
Jeremy came up with that. Or he thought he did, and then it's hashtagged on Instagram all over the place.
All right, man. So we got a minute here. What do you want to tell the audience? You guys got free reign for 60 seconds here.
Follow us on Spotify. Tell all your friends to do the same.
Yeah, shameless plug there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, say hi to us on social media. Like, reach out, talk to us. We'd love to meet everybody.
Yeah, like if you come see us at a show, we love talking to our fans. We're always at the merch table, hanging out, talking to everyone. So
we spend a lot of time replying to our fans on social media.
And we have a show in Chicago, January 25th at the Beat Kitchen. We are headlining, and we have some great handpicked bands that we picked to open for us.
First headliner.
So it's our first headlining show ever. So January 25th at the Beat Kitchen.
Very stoked to see everybody.
Awesome. All right, man. We're going to hear your song now. It's been an absolute blast. Glad. I think you guys are the first local band I've interviewed in all my time doing this.
We are honored.
Chicago does not get enough notoriety for music, man. It's just it's kind of a shame.
It used to be a lot better.
And I think it's coming back, though. We got a lot of great friends and a lot of great bands, too. It's
when I was in high school, it was really special. And it's just with the scene, with the current state of the music scene, it is getting a little bit better now.
It's changing for sure, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff around here. People just need to look for it. It's there. Believe us.
The one thing I'll say is the band camaraderie is not the same. Like I feel like we're on an island, and it used to be everyone helps each other out, and maybe it's still there. Just we haven't found it yet.
Hope to find it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you guys know other bands in Chicago, have them email me. I'd love to have more Chicago bands on the show too.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. It's been a pleasure, and we're going to hear your song right now, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Racing from the night before. God, please help me make it out alive. Calming down, my thoughts erasing, pacing back and forth. Line them up, let's set our souls on fire. Time and moving faster onto the floor. Caterpillars become butterflies.
Wayne, I agree with you. Both songs tonight were excellent, and I want to thank both bands for being on the Songwriter Show tonight. I want to thank everyone for listening. If there's any artists out there who want to be on the Songwriter Show, please feel free to reach out to me. I hope everyone's unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show. And I was kind of going through my first year of releasing stuff, and I've come such a long way in 6 years with lyric writing, songwriting, melodies, just all the different things that I do. And tonight you're going to hear one of my first songs called Believe. Very, very simple lyrically, but there's a little bit of emotion to the vocal, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I hope you enjoy it. Have a wonderful night, and thank you for spending some time with me tonight. I love you guys, and I'll see you again next Tuesday. Have a great night.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.